We step into the world of big dreams, big moves, and big money. It's the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navarro. After 40 years, the Big Cheese remains dedicated to serving the finest Italian dinners, pizza, pasta, subs, and salads. All of their pasta is imported from Italy and cooked fresh every day. Visit BigCheeseMiami.com. Now, let's find out who's the Big Cheese the Miami Hurricanes are working on with insider Manny Navarro.
All right. How you feeling, my man? You feeling good?
Feeling great. Oh, how are you?
I'm feeling great. Maybe I'll feel a little better. Maybe I'll go to the Big Cheese this weekend with the wife to have a little food. All right, bro. The Canes like to be active in the portal, but at the same time, we're watching people, which you always tell this every year since we've been doing this now for years. You always tell us, all right, and ladies and gentlemen out there, be ready after the spring game all over the country. Players find out where they stand, and then some of them want out. And so that becomes a good and bad thing because you could lose some players that you like. You might lose some players you don't like. But at the same time, now you can go out and maybe find a player that you like. So first, walk us through who are they losing?
Well, they've had 4 kids so far announce their intentions to leave. One of them is on offense. The other 3 are on defense. Carr is the receiver who was one of the 2024 signees, a kid who just got here not too long ago, one of the big receivers that they signed who was a blue chipper. He's a kid from Georgia who basically saw the writing on the wall, I think, after the spring, and that Malachi Tony and Josh Moore and some of the guys in this recent freshman class are probably going to end up getting more burn and get on the field faster. And so it's just the way the process works. We've talked about it many times. I keep trying to tell people college football is no longer a game where you hold on to your players for a very long time. They get in the portal. If they're not playing after 1 or 2 years, they're going to take off and look for a fresh start. And so Carr is the loss on offense. And then the 3 guys on defense, 2 of them are defensive linemen. One of them is Josh Horton, a defensive tackle who's been here for 2.5 years. Elias Rudolph, who was another 2024 recruit who just got here a year ago. And then the last one is Zaquan Patterson, who was the big-time safety out of Hollywood Chaminade. Zaquan kind of got passed up on the depth chart this spring by some other guys. Miami went out into the transfer portal, brought in somebody through the portal who's going to be the starter. And I think Zaquan just never really got to the point where he was worth the money that Miami, NIL, and everything else was paying him. So a lot of these are financial decisions. Guys are asked to take pay cuts. And if they don't want to do it, they look for a fresh start. And I think that's part of what we see here.
All right. So who are they looking for?
Well, I think defensive tackle, I think those 3 positions that we just went over, defensive line, safety, and wide receiver, it's obvious, right? You lose something there. You need to come back and replenish those spots. And so a big name that came up at receiver this week was Trevor Penna, who played for Syracuse. If you remember that Syracuse game last year that Miami lost up there in the old Carrier Dome, whatever it's called now. I forget what they call it now. But Penna led the ACC in catches, and you think about what this offense lost at the receiver position with Xavier Restrepo.
I know Don McPherson had a hell of a game against it.
Well, listen, Syracuse's offense shredded Miami's secondary, which is a big reason why there's a new defensive coordinator here. But Trevor Penna was one of those guys, and ideally he is the kind of guy you would look at and say, okay, maybe you bring him in the slot. That allows a guy like Malachi Tony not to have a ton of pressure on him to deliver right away as a freshman. It brings you some more experience in the receiver room where you're really, really young. Right now, this weekend, Trevor Penna is visiting Penn State. So that's the first stop. I think this might be a slow play by Miami for whatever reason. Fran Brown, the coach at Syracuse, was asked about it earlier this week about Penna, his captain, entering the transfer portal after the spring game. And he said, look, this guy's not worth $2 million or whatever it is that people are throwing out there. I don't know that Penna is going to command $2 million in NIL, but it seems to me like maybe he priced himself out of Syracuse with the season he had last year. So that's a name to know on offense for Miami in terms of targets. And then on defense, you have Braxton Felly, a kid out of Boise State who is a multi-year starter. He's not big. He's 6'1", about 300 pounds. He's supposed to be visiting Miami next week. Kid out of Utah who ended up going to Boise State, started the last 2 years. He's at Cal this weekend. 14 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks, and 26 career starts for Felly over the last 2 years. So, a guy that could come in and provide some depth for Miami on the defensive line. Mario always loves to get D tackles in the transfer portal, guys that are going into their last year that he can throw in there and provide some depth. So I think that's probably what Felly ends up being if he picks Miami.
All right. Well, speaking of money, Nico and that whole mess with the Tennessee quarterback and Miami involved now because hey, they're paying that guy $4 million and all that stuff. So what's the deal now? And how's college football even going to manage something like this? Which I don't even know how they can manage it.
Yeah, you think about Tennessee, they signed him right just a couple years ago to that $8 million deal, and everybody in college football freaked out. A recruit is going to make $8 million over 4 years. Why would Tennessee do that? Well, now that contract just not enough for Nico, and so he ended up entering the transfer portal. And to be honest, he kind of played himself, because when you transfer in the spring, a lot of these budgets are already used up. Right? People have already allocated money to quarterbacks. And so there wasn't a huge market for Nico. It was basically UCLA and Tulane. And I think Tulane kind of backed away when they thought of the price tag. And he ends up signing with UCLA, I think for $1.5 million. So he's actually going to make less money than he was making at Tennessee, which was close to 2.
California taxes, kid.
Yeah, plus California taxes. Exactly. So he kind of played himself, but you know what? It was kind of an important time for college football, I think, because look, man, I went on the ACC network earlier this week to talk about this, but we need to get to a point where there's a collective bargaining agreement and a players association and some level of control over this stuff.
But hold on a second. I thought about this. Not heavy like you got to do because it's your damn job, but schools are at different levels that they have money in the NIL. How do you create a stage for a guy? You don't know how good that player is, and it's really beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be very hard for you to create some kind of a scale when it's Tulane battling USC. We're not talking about the same piggy bank here. So if you start creating a level for a quarterback, there's a lot of schools. Like if you say, well, this is what Michigan and this is what Florida State and USC can pay. Well, that doesn't mean Tulane and Mississippi, Eastern Mississippi Valley and, Central Florida or whatever, they all can pay that. No, they can't. So I don't know how you make a system that could make everybody happy when it's all said and done.
I think at some point, though, you have to break off between the Power 4, right? You have to almost classify a guy. Is he a Power 4 guy or is he a G5 guy? And I think in this case, clearly he was a Power 4 guy. He ends up going to UCLA, who is a Big Ten school and obviously has some money to work with. But again, at this point, anybody could do this, right? They could basically try and hold themselves out. I think as long as the schools show solidarity the way that they sort of did in this case, which is, hey, buddy, you may want more than $2.2 million, but we're not going to give it to you. Then they continue to act that way, then you won't run into this problem down the road. But how long will that last? At some point, there will be a player that does this, and somebody says, no, you know what? We will pay you the $4 million that you're looking for to come play quarterback for us or wide receiver, right? And then that'll create all sort of upheaval in college sports. So to me, I guess the moral of the story is we need at some point to reach a level where there's more control over this situation because it really is the Wild West, and I can tell you the coaches are absolutely losing their minds.
Well, I think the way you can control it is if there's a contract, you're done. You must honor the contract, okay? And that's it. You're not allowed to negotiate another contract, without any kind of a legal buyout that both parties have agreed on. But if there's no agreement, then both parties – and again, you got to hold both parties accountable to that contract too.
Right. And right now there is none of that because there's no real governing body overseeing this. And the NCAA is trying to create something, but
That's the only thing I think you can do. There's no way you can control what somebody can pay or not. That's the problem in baseball. And that's the problem, in some sports where some owners are like, well, yeah, no, we're the Dodgers. Sorry. Too bad if you're Tampa Bay. That's your problem, not our problem. You know what I'm saying? And you that would happen in college football. But if at least you lock them into these contracts and everybody understands and everybody and all the schools on a collective bargaining agreement agree, we cannot sign players that are,
under contract, right?
Under contract. And we have to understand that. And then I think you can move forward. That's about the only thing I can see.
Yeah. Well, something has to be done for sure.
Yeah, because that to me is insanity. What's going on, because now Tennessee's season is kind of in an upheaval. All right, so give me the top ranked recruits that are visiting Miami this weekend, sir.
Well, there is one who is a tight end compared to Brock Bowers. His name's Mark Bowman. He reclassified from the 2027 class to the 2026 class. Kid out of Mater D Academy out there in Santa Ana, California. Number 1 ranked player at his position. Big kid, 6'5", 225 pounds. The Hurricanes are reportedly going to have him on campus this week. 32 receptions for 435 yards and 8 touchdowns last year on a national championship winning team. So, you talk about the tight end position and some of the greats that have come to Miami before. Elijah Lofton is entering his second season here. He's going to probably have a big time year at the tight end position. This is the kind of guy that if you're Miami and you're recruiting at an elite level year in, year out, he's the guy that you get, right? He becomes the next Jeremy Shockey or the next Kellen Winslow or somebody great at your program. But they've got competition. Georgia, Oregon, USC, Texas, and Alabama are all in it as well. But the fact that he is actually coming here this week and is going to be on campus is a good move.
8080 Southwest 67th Avenue. If you want to have some delicious Italian food, all the pasta is shipped fresh from Italy, okay, and cooked fresh every day. So you're getting the pasta direct from Italy, cooked fresh every day. And by the way, family servings. So be prepared. They do not cheat you out of anything, okay? This is not one of those places that they keep charging you more and more, and then the plate gets smaller and smaller. That's not what they do at the Big Cheese.
No.
Okay, you're going to load up, so make sure you go. And by the way, if you want to treat your friends, your family members, your co-workers, they've got the party platters. 8080 Southwest 67th Avenue, 305-662-6855. And tell them that Big O sent you. Trust me, they will take care of you, man. They are really good people. All right. So we've got Steve, what is it? Angeli, the Notre Dame QB. So he transferred. So talk to me a little bit about this. How does that? What wrinkles does that happen with the game?
Yeah, Miami opens the season with the Irish, of course, at the end of August, and so Angeli was the one sort of experienced quarterback that they had on the roster in terms of college and having starting experience. So now you will have a true freshman, or not a true freshman, but a true first-time starter in either CJ Carr or Kenny Minchey as Notre Dame starting quarterback. They each took 4 snaps all of last season. So not a whole lot of playing experience for those guys. You think about Miami opening night. You think about the betting line, right? The betting line probably changed or will change in light of those little notes and stats. So we will see what happens going forward and who Notre Dame and Miami add to their rosters here in the spring transfer portal window. But if you're looking ahead to August 31st in that first game, kind of some big news this week with Angeli leaving Notre Dame.
All right, Ring of Honor for the Canes. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you look at the names on it, Dan Morgan, Ken Dorsey, Andre Johnson, Brian McKinney. So on October 25th, when Miami hosts Stanford, they were going to put those guys into the Ring of Honor.
Like no discussion, bro.
No.
Like there's no doubt. Like there's nothing there. It's like, Yeah, like why aren't they there already? That kind of shit, right?
But they take forever. Miami waits until these guys' careers is long over before they throw them in the Ring of Honor. They kind of, this isn't done quickly.
Like they picked 4 monsters, bro. Like 4 monsters.
Well, this is the 100-year centennial celebration for Miami, so I can see them sort of saving this moment for some big names.
Heavy hitters, dude. They brought out
Absolutely.
4 Otanis. 4 Otanis is what they brought out. That's awesome. Those are names right there, dude. Those are names right there. God, you missed those kind of names in this program. All right, what do you got going on in the Athletics so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, writing about the quarterback position and recruiting in the state of Florida this week, for next week, actually. Just, why there haven't been more big-time quarterbacks that have come out of this state. Obviously, you have Lamar Jackson in the NFL. You've got Fernando Mendoza, who obviously had a big year, come out of Miami Columbus. But not very often you have 5-star quarterbacks. And this year we finally have one again in the state of Florida. And Dia Bell, Roger Bell's son over at Plantation American Heritage. He, of course, is going to Texas. So just kind of an in-depth piece on quarterbacks and why the Sunshine State doesn't do more of that, producing. Considering all the other positions they address, it just seems that quarterback never really is the position that we're known for.
Roger Bell's a good dude, man. Very, very professional. Good dude. I'm glad his son is having a lot of success. All right, follow him on Twitter and Manny_Navarro. And of course, better yet, man, subscribe to The Athletic and support him and get all the news across the country and even internationally with some football news too on top of all of that. Manny, as always, thank you, my brother. Have a great weekend. We'll catch up on Friday next week.
All right, brother. Take care. Talk soon.
Got it. There you go. The great Manny Navarro and our BigCheeseMiami.com NIL and recruiting report.
You've been listening to the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navarro. At the Big Cheese Miami, they continue to purchase the same high-quality ingredients that the most expensive Italian restaurants use. The difference is they serve large portions at a family price. Visit the Big Cheese at 8080 Southwest 67th Avenue in Miami. Call 305-662-6855 or go to thebigcheesemiami.com. Go Canes!